Abraham. Abraham and Moses are the two prophets whose histories are given the greatest prominence in the Holy Quran. Abraham being spoken of over 40 times and Moses nearly 50 times. Don't know why he couldn't have been exact, but the importance of Abraham was due to the fact that he was accepted by all the three different communities that resided in Arabia, the Jews, the Christians, and the idolaters, and was, thus in a way, the link which united them, notwithstanding the divergence of their religious views. See, the Quran's trying to have an effect, and the effect of where it was first heard is what takes it to the other regions. Which did and still does. It is for this reason that they are again and again invited to the religion of Abraham. Surah 2, 135 says, "And they say, be Jews or Christians, you will be on the right course. Say, nay. We follow the religion of Abraham, the upright one, and he was not one of the polytheists." Surah 4, 125 says, "And who is better in religion than he who submits himself entirely to Allah while doing good to others, and follows the faith of Abraham, the upright one?" Surah 6, 161 says, "Say, as for me, my Lord has guided me to the right path, a right religion, the faith of Abraham, the upright one, and he was not of the polytheists. And, notwithstanding the righteousness of Abraham was an established fact with these three communities, Abraham's religion was not the religion of any of them. Abraham was not a Jew, nor a Christian, but he was an upright man, a Muslim, and he was not one of the polytheists." See Surah 3, 67. The three communities are in fact told to find out the common element of the three religions, for only that could be the religion of Abraham. This was the existence of the one supreme God. The word Hanif, which I have translated upright, is most frequently used in connection with Abraham. The root word Hanif means inclining or declining, and hence Hanif means one inclining to a right state. According to Raghib, the best authority on the lexicology of the Holy Quran, wherever used, seems to indicate a firmness in sticking to the right state as opposed to inclining to polytheism on the part of the Jews and the Christians. Abraham appears in the Holy Quran as the most forceful preacher against idolatry and polytheism of every kind, and his zeal to rid humanity of this grossest of superstitions gives us really a picture of the Holy Prophet's mind. In fact, every prophet in the Holy Quran represents a particular phase of the character of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, and Abraham stands for the iconoclastic tendency on the one hand and entire submission to God on the other. His preaching against idolatry is referred to in Surah 6, ayat 74, Surah 19, ayat 42 through 48, Surah 21, ayat 52 through 65, Surah 26, ayat 69 through 84, Surah 29, ayat 16 and 17, Surah 37, 85 through 96, Surah 43, ayat 26 and 27. He also preaches against the worship of heavenly bodies. See Surah 6, ayat 74 through 82, 37, 88, and 89. But he went a step further and broke the idols, and thus he did after he had plainly told his people that they would make clear to them the helplessness of their supposed deities. "And by Allah, I will certainly plan against your idols after you go away, turning your backs." So he broke them into pieces except the chief of them, that haply they may return to it. And that's a quote from Surah 21, 57 and 58. The same incident is also referred to earlier in 37, 91 through 96, where Abraham is spoken of as having broken them secretly, i.e. in the absence of the worshippers. As a result of this, opposition to Abraham took a bitter turn, but God made all plans against him fruitless. Surah 29:24 says, "They said, 'Burn him and help your kids if you are going to do.' We said, 'O fire, be a coolness and peace for Abraham. And they intended a plan against him, but we made them the greater losers, and we delivered him and Lot. Where did it end? That was from 21:68 through 71. 29:24 says, So naught was the answer of his people except that they said, Slay him or burn him. But Allah delivered him from the fire. The opponents had a plan to burn him, but that plan failed. Whether Abraham was actually cast into the fire, it is not stated. The breaking of idols by Abraham was no doubt a prophecy that idols, which now polluted the house sanctified by Abraham, would ultimately be broken by the Holy Prophet. And so it happened after the conquest of Mecca. Abraham's zeal for the establishment of the unity of God is also displayed by his leaving enduring traditions among the Arabs that he was a preacher of unity. Surah 43:28 says, And he made it a word to continue in his posterity that they might return, where it refers to the worship of one God. The second phase of Abraham's character, in which he represents the Holy Prophet, is his entire submission to God. Though every prophet undoubtedly submitted to God, yet particular stress is laid on Abraham's submission. See Surah 2 at 124 and 131, 3, 67, 4, 125, 16, 120, 37, 103. It was his complete submission to God that made him a guide for all people. Surah 2, 124 says, And when his Lord tried Abraham with certain commands, he fulfilled them. He said, Surely I will make thee a leader of men. Surah 200. Abraham's desire was that his offspring should be raised to the dignity of leadership, but he was told that the covenant of God does not include the unjust. That says 224 as well. Did they not finish the verse, or did they get the verse wrong with one of them? Abraham's submission to God was so perfect that when he received a commandment to sacrifice his only son, so we thought, Ishmael, he did not hesitate for a minute, though. When they both submitted and he had thrown him down upon his forehead, the voice of God came to him that he had fulfilled his vision. See Surah 37, 103 to 105, in obedience to which he was going to sacrifice his son, and that the sacrifice of a goat should commemorate the occasion. Surah 37, 107, as a sign that the animal in man was to be sacrificed to the divine in him. Thus, the incident affords an illustration of the complete submission of Abraham to God, and contains no doubt a prophetic reference to the complete submission of the Holy Prophet Muhammad and his followers, who showed their willingness to lay down their own lives and the lives of those dearest to them to defend the truth. It may be remarked here that the Holy Quran speaks of Ishmael as being the son whom Abraham was ordered to sacrifice, as it speaks of the good news of Isaac's birth being given to Abraham after the incident of the sacrifice. See Surah 37, 112. This contradicts the biblical statement, which speaks of Isaac being the son who was ordered to be sacrificed, but the Bible contradicts itself when it says, Take now thy son, thine only son Isaac. Genesis 22:2. He is again called thine only son in verses 12 and 16. Now Isaac could not by any stretch of the imagination be called an only son, as Ishmael was much older than Isaac, and of course the words people refer to say concubine, well, those are, in this case, it wasn't referring to some illegitimate birth or something anyway, so that doesn't kind of work. Only Ishmael could be called an only son before Isaac's birth, and therefore the text has no doubt been altered in favor of Isaac, and there's other reasons to think that too, but we'll leave that for the time being. Moreover, both the Bible and the Holy Quran agree that a ram was sacrificed instead of the lad, but the sacrifice of a ram is commemorated among Ishmael's descendants, not among Isaac's, and this is additional testimony of the truth of what the Quran states. Another important point relating to Abraham is his connection and that of Ishmael with Kaaba, the sacred house at Mecca. The Quran does not leave the least doubt about it. It was here that Abraham had left Ishmael not in the wilderness of Beersheba, as stated in the Bible. This is shown by Abraham's prayers referred to in the Holy Quran, see Surah 14:37. Our Lord, I have settled a part of my offspring in the valley, unproductive of fruit, near thy sacred house, our Lord, that they may keep up prayer. From this, as also from a saying of the Holy Prophet, it further appears that Abraham had left Ishmael in Arabia in accordance with the divine commandment, not to the instigation of his wife Sarah, as the Bible would have done it. Genesis 21:10 says that. In fact, it was all done in accordance with the divine scheme, so that the stone which the builders rejected should become as the head of the corner. Matthew 21:42, Psalm 118:22. Ishmael was that stone, for was the descendants of Israel came numerous prophets.